an extremely clever, sharp-eyed informant. A ruler who holds power with the strength of a champion. When the king's army goes out to hunt, the troop ruins the plan. What will they do when the king strikes back? Find out everything in the animal documentary. Devious, an adjective. It signifies demonstrating skill in using indirect tactics to reach a goal, being less than candid or straightforward. It also denotes wandering from a conventional or direct course. Calculating individuals or strategic schemes and methods are occasionally intricate, yet they are frequently clever and effective. Across the savanna, many species have discovered unpredictable ways to thrive, where resourcefulness and opportunism are vividly displayed in their conduct. The baboon is one such example. The Dark Continent serves as the domain for 6 baboon legions. Each species functions as a strategic piece within the demanding ecosystem. The Olive Baboon dominates the equatorial regions with overwhelming numbers. Chacma, the powerhouses weighing 45 kilograms, guard the south. The Guinea carries the crimson hues of West Africa. Modern studies have officially separated the Kinda Baboon from the shadows of subspecies, recognizing them as a distinct entity, small yet agile. In the northeast, the Hamadryas reigns over limestone cliffs with a strict hierarchy. Their strength does not reside in mere muscle. It is the discipline of a mobile fortress. A troop is a multi-layered social structure where unity is the iron law. Their menu is a list without limitations. They are extreme omnivores. Succulent roots, protein-rich insects, and even the unfortunate young antelope secured within the thicket. They prevail through calculation. Their bold presence in the heart of the savanna is a testament to one truth: intellect is the ultimate tool. Every survival privilege is purchased with sharp, calculating minds. Baboon intelligence resides in the sophisticated information processing machinery hidden beneath their coarse fur. Cognitive abilities are equivalent to those of the great apes. Abstract thinking allows them to deconstruct reality into logical fragments. Acoustic evidence confirms they can produce 5 basic vowels similar to humans. This serves as the biological foundation for a proto-language. They possess over 30 distinct vocalizations. These are combined with gestures and facial expressions to create a multi-layered communication system. They can acquire orthographic processing skills. These individuals differentiate between actual words and meaningless characters, a foundational capacity once considered a human prerogative. In baboon society, truth is a flexible concept. They are masters of Machiavellianism, a game of calculated maneuvers and strategic misdirection. A juvenile may feign a confrontation with heart-wrenching screams. The sole purpose is to incite adult protection to deter food competitors. Subordinates also know how to signal false alarms. A non-existent distress bark sends the entire troop into a state of panic. Amidst that chaotic moment, the strategist calmly seizes the precious resources. To survive, each individual must memorize a complex social landscape. Who is an ally? Who is a rival? Who belongs to whom? The formation of political alliances is the key to displacing a leader or securing reproductive rights. A system that favors the most strategic minds. Their intelligence is tested through the ability to calculate risks and rewards. At Kibale National Park, they are educated foragers. They employ the sit-and-wait tactic. A swift foray only occurs when they understand their opponent's schedule better than the opponents themselves. A selective, omnivorous lifestyle allows them to exploit every niche in nature. They utilize tools in a pragmatic manner. This behavioral flexibility transforms them into one of the most evolutionarily successful primates. A flawless blend of problem-solving skills and biological persistence. Yet, the genius brain is only half the story. To execute the most daunting schemes, they require matching physical instruments. It is a pair of canines measuring 5 centimeters. Within the chacma species, these teeth possess dimensions that directly rival those of the lion. The first premolar functions as a living whetstone. With every closure of the mouth, the jaw sharpens itself. The characteristic elongated muzzle serves as a massive foundation for powerful jaw muscles to anchor upon. They generate a bite force capable of pulverizing the hardest palm nuts. A toolkit operated by a nervous system constantly in a state of high alertness. Extreme sexual dimorphism transforms the males into 45-kilogram gladiators with robust shoulders and powerful limbs. Even as a lone individual, the baboon is not an easy mark for any predator. When a chacma male enters a confrontational state, he can exercise absolute authority within his territory. Yet against more formidable adversaries, they require a legion of several dozen such warriors. Within the savanna, this serves as an official declaration of conflict. The baboon does not require resounding roars to assert its presence. They utilize a visual language rich in intimidation. Repeatedly raising the brows to expose the pale skin around the eyes acts as a high-level cautionary signal. This is swiftly followed by a tension yawn. Do not mistake this gesture for fatigue. As the mouth opens to its fullest extent, the male exhibits his formidable arsenal. Long, sharp canines are displayed as a reminder of the consequences awaiting any intrusion. This is a psychological encounter before any physical engagement occurs. It is an endeavor to neutralize the opponent's resolve without exerting significant effort. A single baboon is a formidable figure. Yet, when encountering predators, their rules of survival shift. Unity transforms into a broad strategic advantage. Leading males frequently opt for direct engagement rather than a hasty retreat. They organize a coalition, employing mobbing tactics to encompass the adversary. While the females and young withdraw to natural strongholds, such as steep cliffs, the mature males establish a living shield. They stand ready to pursue and remove interlopers from the territory through collective power. A solitary large feline may be an unrivaled hunter in the darkness, but before a wall of vocalizing primates, it is compelled to retreat to preserve its well-being. Nature does not grant the baboon sharp claws like those of the great cats. Instead, evolution has provided them with something far more sophisticated: hands featuring opposable thumbs. This dexterity allows them to perform complex tasks that other carnivores could only imagine. The hands serve as instruments for climbing, excavating roots, and manipulating sustenance with high precision. In a confrontation, these hands become formidable grips. Once an adversary is secured within that hold, the canines complete the process. The combination of primate grasping ability and the bite force of a wild creature creates a singular style of defense. However, to operate this collective defensive mechanism smoothly, they require more than the physical strength of the most robust individuals. A strict sentinel system is a prerequisite for them to maintain mastery over the strategic landscape of the savanna. Baboon security on the savanna is an organized operational system. As the legion moves, they employ a tight escort formation. The mature males occupy strategic positions: the front, the rear, and the flanks. A perimeter of muscle and canines envelops the most vulnerable individuals. The silence is broken only by a sharp bark. This is the universal code for peril. Yet, the baboon vocabulary is a continuous and nuanced range of sound. There is no confusion between a drifting crocodile and an ambushing great cat. The baboon is capable of altering frequency and tone depending on the nature of the threat. The social hierarchy is also encoded within these sounds. Within Chakma troops, the one holding supreme power emits a heavy double bark, asserting status and presence. Conversely, lower-ranking members often respond with piercing single barks during unexpected disruptions. A stratified communication system ensures the entire troop always reacts with absolute precision. When darkness descends, the rules of engagement shift. The keen primate vision becomes ineffective against the night. They withdraw to natural strongholds. Here, the Guinea baboon deploys a bold acoustic strategy. They project loud vocalizations into the shadows, a show of force sent to the lurking spirits. This deterrence discourages a conflict before it begins. Visual signals are also fully utilized in the dim light. Collective vigilance is a solid wall. Yet even the most sophisticated radar system has its blind spots. There is a master of the hunt, an expert of stealth, who utilizes the stillness to bypass every alarm. It possesses both solitude and lightning-fast maneuvers. The leopard. This is the pinnacle of biological design for the legendary ambush specialist. Compared to its clamorous primate rivals, this feline represents a completely different extreme. Solitude is not a weakness, but the ultimate advantage. A mature leopard weighs only about 60 to 70 kilograms, yet every gram of its physique is optimized for explosive power. This feline possesses an innate climbing ability and a pulling force that far exceeds its own mass. The leopard is an expert at capitalizing on the slightest missteps of others, an absolute dominance in terms of physicality and pursuit technique. In Botswana, the darkness is the most faithful ally of this elite strategist. While primates are constrained by limited nocturnal vision, the leopard perceives a world of brilliance and detail. The leopard never chooses to engage directly with assertive alpha males. Strategic subtlety lies in the selection of the objective. The most vulnerable individuals remain within its focus. The young, the adolescents, and specifically the mature females. The ability to leverage superior visual advantages allows it to transform an opponent's stronghold into a situation with no escape. The ambush frequently unfolds in an instant. Yet these are merely the initial strokes in a complex portrait of rivalry between these two extremes of the savanna. The presence of the leopard in the shadows serves as a catalyst for an evolutionary race spanning millions of years. To neutralize this sudden predator, the baboon is compelled to transform treetops or sheer granite cliffs into fortresses. Yet this presents little challenge for the leopard. The superior nocturnal vision of this large feline experiences few limitations. Consequently, as darkness descends, their early warning system shifts to a distinct frequency reserved for the leopard. This is a public proclamation. The entire legion immediately transitions to a state of high alert. The largest males occupy pivotal positions, prepared for an uncompromising encounter. A potential target differs from a vulnerable individual. The power of the crowd transforms these primates into a formidable collective. Mobbing tactics create a vocal perimeter capable of dismantling the resolve of even the most solitary hunter. The leopard understands the consequences of boldness. A mature male baboon possesses canines of a length comparable to those of a lion. In direct confrontations, their intensity can result in significant physical consequences. Documented accounts of baboons overpowering a leopard to protect the troop serve as a testament to their imposing counter-offensive strength. Prior to engagement, they deploy a compelling display of psychological maneuvering, repeatedly raising brows to reveal pale eyelids. Engaging in continuous blinking creates a disorienting visual signal. This is a cautionary notice of a contest of attrition where the solitary party often sustains more significant losses. This relationship defines the identity of both species. Data recorded in Botswana indicates that the combined presence of the leopard and the lion accounts for approximately 9% of the annual population loss within the Kinda Baboon community. Among these, 50% of those affected are mature females, the most vital link for continuity. They typically employ nocturnal ambushes to circumvent troop retaliation. In return, the baboon must adopt a rigorous social discipline and constant vigilance. Yet the leopard is not the only formidable presence. Amidst these struggles, another figure emerges, larger and more powerful, ready to dismantle every rule of cunning. A creature that frequently claims the leopard's success and reduces the baboon to pieces in a game of survival on an entirely different level. The lion. In the world of apex predators, the leopard is a gifted phantom, yet it must still exist beneath the shadow of a tyrant. The lion possesses an instinctive disdain toward this spotted feline, not merely seizing sustenance. The lion also seeks to fundamentally displace its competitor, a necessary severity to maintain the monarch's order. In response, the leopard fully utilizes its climbing proficiency. Hoisting sustenance twice its own weight onto high branches is the sole method to secure its success. However, this boundary of safety is gradually fading. Persistent lionesses are prepared to challenge gravity, attempting to ascend to heights not meant for them to claim a portion. These struggles for protein occur within the canopy, where no margin for error is permitted. These two rivals are compelled to share the same landscape as they pursue a common resource. The leopard does not flee from the lion's domain. To do so would mean relinquishing the region's richest in opportunities. Instead, they remain present, continue their search, but always maintain a secure interval. Once this gap narrows, the leopard's survival instinct triggers an immediate evasive response. Dense vegetation and climbing skills are the final life-preserving assets. It must exist like a refugee within its own homeland. The leopard's resourcefulness aids its endurance, yet it can never master the engagement when the opponent is a lion. To understand why a crafty phantom like the leopard must yield, we need to deeper analyze the most magnificent creature shaped by the savanna's sun and wind. One who rules not only through might, but through a landscape of fear that encompasses every living thing. It is time to encounter the king. The lion requires no constant action to manifest its authority. When the monarch emerges, all previous tenets of survival are superseded. For the leopard, existence is a high-stakes game of proximity management. When resources are plentiful, the leopard remains concealed, circumventing the pride's rivalry. Yet, as lion density increases, the leopard's living space becomes constrained. Competitive pressures transform every watering hole and canopy into inevitable points of friction. Its relationship with the baboon reflects another zenith of biological dominance. The lion governs this primate legion through a perpetual landscape of fear. The monarch seldom expends calories pursuing these strategic creatures for hours on end. Its scent and low-frequency roar alone suffice to moderate population expansion and reshape the entire foraging patterns of the baboon troop. A silent dominion that carries immense gravity. Even the most calculating baboons must defer to the order established by the lion. This supremacy is not a matter of fortune. It originates from a biological design intended to overwhelm any challenger. An adult male lion outweighs a male chacma baboon by 5.5 times. Comparisons regarding canine length or fortitude fade into insignificance before the overwhelming presence of the planet's second-largest feline. They are simply pursuit specialists comprising 250 kilograms of muscle and bone. With a musculoskeletal structure accounting for 58.8% of their total body mass. The lion's muscle ratio is the most substantial within the mammalian kingdom. Within those rippling forms lies a dense concentration of fast-twitch fibers, fueling astonishingly explosive acceleration. Achieving 80 kilometers per hour during brief sprints, a leap of 11 meters with a single exertion. Beneath the paws are curved claws, 38 millimeters in length, capable of flexible retraction to maintain their edge. Once engaged with a target, they rarely relinquish their hold. The jaw comprises 30 specialized teeth, including elongated canines and carnassials. Even the tongue is covered with robust and coarse papillae. The bite force reaches a threshold of 3,000 to 4,000 newtons. It may not be the most potent in nature, but it is more than adequate to manage targets weighing nearly a metric ton. The lion perceives the darkness through the largest eyes of any carnivore. A reflective layer allows them to see 6 times more clearly in the night than humans. An auditory system capable of flexible rotation precisely locates a falling leaf from a vast distance. When the monarch chooses to vocalize, its 114 decibel roar can resonate through the ground within a radius of 8 kilometers. A darker mane indicates high testosterone levels and superior combative ability. It attracts females and discourages less formidable challengers. The mane also serves as armor, protecting the vital neck during intense territorial disputes. With its supreme physique, the lion can subdue giants. Cape buffalo weighing 900 kilograms, giraffes exceeding 1 metric ton, even elephants. When a target proves too daunting for the agile females, the male lion intervenes. Their landscape of fear encompasses the entire savanna ecosystem. This apprehension compels the baboon to completely alter its movement and foraging habits whenever the lion's presence is detected. Yet physical might is only one component of this dominance. The monarch also possesses a far more severe artistry: stillness. Nature favors formidable contrasts. If the baboon legion embodies vocalization and drama, then the lion is a master of the shadow arts. These two lifestyles never truly align. One requires commotion to showcase collective strength. The other necessitates absolute stillness to exercise the art of ambush. During the pursuit, every movement of the lion is calculated. Tall grass and shadows serve as allies. The likelihood of success escalates if the lion can approach the objective within a range of 15 to 30 meters without being noticed. Yet, within the savanna, a disruptor is always present. The baboon acts as an alarm that never ceases. With keen vision from above, they frequently deprive the monarch of the element of surprise. A single baboon alarm call can disperse an entire herd of zebra or impala, rendering the lion's hours of ambush effort completely ineffective. For the lion, baboons are nuisances that interfere with significant opportunities. Occasionally, a lion chooses to pursue and remove a baboon, not due to hunger. It is a severe consequence for the individual who dared to disturb the hunter's stillness. This relationship consists of a series of cold retaliations. However, when lions truly intend to act, they deploy coordinated tactics with formidable discipline to subdue the strategic primates. A baboon troop can consist of hundreds of individuals, a definition of organized chaos. Conversely, a lion pride of 10 to 15 members operates with silence as an iron discipline. Their coordination is not based on fleeting emotions, but on a sophisticated form of quantitative intelligence. The biological instinct of lions allows them to perform complex calculations of relative strength. Upon hearing the roars of intruders, they possess the ability to count and assess the number of rivals to compare with their own forces. A decision to engage or withdraw is reached based on these biological statistics. While the primates rely on numbers to overwhelm, the monarch relies on calculation to dominate. During a maneuver, each lioness serves as an irreplaceable link. They occupy preferred positions reinforced through years of experience. The females, acting as wings, fan out to either side. Their sole objective is to obstruct every avenue of retreat. Meanwhile, those serving as centers maintain the core, closing in and pressuring the target into a predicament. This coordination is managed solely through eye contact and a thorough understanding of pincer maneuvers. By the time the primates perceive their adversary, every exit has been sealed. As the engagement reaches its peak and resistance intensifies, that is when the male lion emerges to conclude the encounter with absolute dominance. Even if the baboon troop's numbers are 10 times greater, the lion's success rate remains absolute. However, the relationship between lion and baboon holds other unique aspects. Let us broaden the panoramic view of the African savanna. to the ecological zones where they share a common habitat. The liberation of infinite horizons has vanished. The Zambesian woodlands lie under the absolute dominance of the mopane tree. When the Chobe sun begins to intensify, its leaves close to minimize moisture loss, concealing the reality that beneath them lies hard, saline, and nutrient-poor clay. The mopane creates a literal labyrinth, a perfect arena for those who capitalize on shadows and stillness. Chobe hosts some of the highest densities of elephants and buffaloes in Africa. It conditions lions to become specialists in pursuing large game, a scenario rarely witnessed anywhere else in the world. Prides of lions specialized in subduing elephants. They possess higher bone density and superior muscle mass to endure direct impacts from these giants. While the external world prioritizes speed, in the mopane forest, power and endurance define the throne. The woodland terrain provides a privilege their Serengeti counterparts deeply desire: the ideal concealment. Without the need for exhausting pursuits, lions here utilize the rugged mopane trunks to bridge the distance. They can approach their target within 10 meters without detection. During the dry season, the Chobe River recedes. Watering holes transform into strategic focal points. Every trunk and thicket may conceal a predator patiently awaiting thirsty travelers seeking the water source. Yet within this labyrinth, the monarch is not the only observer. The strategic baboons are not easily unsettled by the woodland shadows. They understand every mopane trunk and every trail leading to the river. A pinnacle contest of wits unfolds right beneath those butterfly-shaped leaves. For the baboon troop, the mopane forest is a location where nutritional resources can be maximized. Everything here is included on the menu. However, foraging upon the ground is consistently accompanied by a certain vulnerability. In these heights, the strategy of elevated resting is employed so that baboons may remain beyond the reach of nocturnal prowlers. Yet it is the larynx that serves as a vital component of their defense. It possesses the power to neutralize even the most flawless ambush preparations. Yet the woodland serves as an arena for multi-layered struggles. The leopard remains the perennial adversary, possessing the agility to bypass the baboon troops' defenses. In such instances, lions typically assume the role of patient scavengers at the lower level. They await a misstep, a loss of balance, or simply claim the prize from the leopard should it happen to descend to the ground. The lion finds it difficult to secure a baboon within this stronghold unless they encounter bold individuals approaching the river for water amidst the parched dry season. The monarch's dignity is challenged by the resourcefulness of those positioned above, creating a state of intense standoff. Yet the protection of the Green Fortress does not extend to other ecological zones. In places where branches for concealment are absent and cliffs for evasion no longer exist, a new theater of conflict emerges with far more demanding rules of survival. In the minds of the Maasai people, the Serengeti is a land that stretches without end. Here, the chief architects are not the giant elephants, but two other forces, fire and millions of hooves. The Great Migration, is the heartbeat, the vast living engine that drives the entire ecosystem. More than 1.5 million wildebeest, 200,000 zebras, and hundreds of thousands of gazelles are chasing the rains to where fresh grass holds the highest levels of phosphorus and calcium to nourish life. With every step, they reshape the land, turning this volcanic ash plain into the most fertile grassland on Earth. Shade in the Serengeti is a treasure. The fragile layer of soil, born from volcanic ash millions of years ago, rejects every attempt of great trees to take root. Across a grassland flat as a chessboard, the rocky kopjes rise like islands of granite in a deep green sea. To a traveler, they are a striking landscape. To the lions, they are strategic watchtowers. Kopjes also offer the rare privacy needed to raise the next generation and are the only refuge from the scorching heat of the equatorial sun. The abundance of the migration has forged the strongest dynasties. The prides can swell to 20 or 30 members, a scale unimaginable in sparse, impoverished woodlands. Here, the solitary ambush tactics of a stealthy hunter become far tougher. Instead, the lions move in harmony like a single machine. One group takes on the role of driving the prey, forcing them to run toward the ambushers waiting in the short grass. This is a game of patience. But every feast comes to an end. When the reins shift, the millions of hooves leave, following the call of instinct. Most predators will follow that living waterfall, but the settled prides do not. They choose to stay and guard a territory soaked with the sweat and blood of many generations. When that vast source of protein disappears, the menu is forced to change. Hunger sharpens instinct. The king's gaze begins to turn toward the settlers. For the baboon troop, the stretch between the safe Kopje rocks is a place where few would stand a chance. A lion can burst to speeds of up to 80 kilometers per hour in a heartbeat. Once they leave the protection of the granite, the monkeys are completely exposed to the most relentless sprinters in the savanna. The lone acacia tree becomes the only savior in this ocean of grass. From its high crown, the baboon acts as a guard for the entire ecosystem. Their sweeping view allows them to detect any shadowy movement from afar. Thanks to these crafty spotters, impalas and giraffes gain a few precious seconds to slip away from the claws waiting below. The constant nuisance pushes the king to change his tactics. At times, lions bring down baboons to remove the messengers. However, when facing a lion, the baboon troop uses a mobbing tactic, gathering in large numbers to create a wall of sound and raw aggression. The adult males, with razor-sharp canines, are ready to hurl themselves into a risky, head-on clash. The combination of overwhelming noise and sheer boldness forces the king to weigh the cost of his honor. At times, the females keep the peace when they are raising young or are on their own. For them, the chance to chase off the noisy intruders will come when their numbers are greater. Further down to the south, as the lush green grasslands of the Serengeti fade into memory, we come face to face with a harsher reality. A world stripped of all color, leaving only the piercing white of salt and dust. This is Etosha National Park. At its heart lies the Etosha Pan, nearly 5,000 square kilometers across, the remnant of an ancient lake that evaporated millions of years ago. From space, it looks like a bright white scar on the surface of the Earth. Here, the sunlight is searing. Heat mirages turn the cracked ground into phantom lakes, nature's harsh trick on every desperate soul craving water. The true water holes act as command centers for life. In Etosha, animals do not simply come and go at random. Their entire existence revolves around these scarce wells. A hidden timetable is set by the instinct to survive. Morning belongs to the small antelope herds. Dusk is the realm of the giant elephants. And when darkness falls, the meat-eaters take control. Any creature that breaks this rule or is late by even a few minutes for its own curfew pays with its life. Plants here face two enemies, lack of water and salty soil. Low, thorny shrubs contain only the bare minimum of minerals, yet endure steadily, just enough to sustain the toughest, drought-resistant grazers. The Etosha lions also take on a different look to adapt. They are often called white ghosts because of the thick salt dust clinging to their fur. This random shift in color turns them into invisible rocks even in broad daylight. A top predator wearing the camouflage of this barren land becomes the worst nightmare along the fringes of the waterholes. At this frontier of survival, the relationship between strength and intelligence is pushed to a new level. The moment the baboons lower themselves to drink in the open, they are at their most vulnerable. This is a high-stakes battle of wits. When the heat climbs past 40 degrees Celsius and turns Etosha into a giant oven, every usual rule of the hunt is burned away. In this land, lions do not waste their strength on long chases. They simply wait. Namibia's white ghosts have raised the art of camouflage to its highest level. The layer of salt dust from the pan clings thick to their coats, turning these 200 kilograms giants into invisible boulders in broad daylight. The ambush strategy begins. Because water is the only true power here, the king simply has to hold his ground in the thorn bushes near the waterholes. With a heat tolerance far beyond their cousins in cooler woodlands, the Etosha lions can go without food for many days, patiently waiting for fate to guide their prey right to their jaws. For the baboons, thirst is a harsh executioner. Without the green tree fortresses of Chobe or the rocky kopjes of the Serengeti, the waterholes in Etosha become perilous ground. To cope, the troop has forged a shrewd survival pact. Use a living shield. They rarely step out alone. Instead, the baboons blend in among the hundreds of hooves of zebras and antelope. In a swirling crowd, the odds of being the one singled out shrink. To make it through the night in this land with so little shade, they will even climb human watchtowers in the camping areas. A risky adaptation, but an incredibly clever one. The struggle in Etosha is sometimes more about display than about spilling blood. A strange shouting match between two unlikely species. If they uncover the ambush site, the baboon troop does not run. They choose to stay and rant. Their non-stop barking alarms, sometimes for hours, are a direct psychological barrage. For the king, burning too much energy to catch a single small baboon under the skin-scorching sun is a poor investment, especially when well-fed antelope are drawing near. The art of survival in this dry land is a fragile balance between fear and basic needs. But this rule of stillness and patience is about to be broken. Heavy clouds are rolling in, carrying the promise of a complete transformation for the savanna. When the first raindrops touch the salty ground, a new battlefield will rise from the tall grass. The rain wipes away all the clarity of the dry season. The savanna slips into a green wall, rising as high as 1.5 meters. This is a paradise of abundance, but also a hell of unease. For the lions, the rainy season is when their signature golden coats become the perfect camouflage uniform, blending into patches of dry grass mixed with vivid green. With visibility choked off, the success rate of ambushes skyrockets. The king only needs to vanish into the thick grass. In this maze, even the smallest movement could become someone's last breath. Even so, the baboons do not surrender easily to the changing tides. If the ground below is a killing field, then the heights above are a fortress. While lions, weighing hundreds of kilograms, grow clumsy and heavy on muddy ground, the troop shows astonishing agility. They move through the branches like roaming phantoms, taking advantage of the rainy season's rich fruit and insect supply to stay far from the trap-filled ground. The rainy season brings life, but it complicates hunting for those who rely on teamwork. Antelope herds now spread out widely to take advantage of fresh grass, making it harder than ever to find a grand feast. When an empty belly starts to protest, the lions are forced to consider smaller targets. Baboons, in a risky twist, fall into their sights. The abundance of the rainy season is only a brief moment in the savanna's cycle of survival. When the final rains pull back, the green wall will collapse, giving way to dust and thirst. A new battlefield is taking shape. We are about to step into the harshest phase, the dry season. The generosity of the rainy season pulls back, giving way to a cracked and brittle reality. When temperatures reach 40 degrees Celsius, the savanna turns into a blazing furnace with no escape. The dense canopies once serving as fortresses for the baboon troop now stand like dry skeletons. The reversal of strategy begins here. For the baboons, the dry season becomes a march that feels almost suicidal. With fruit sources depleted, they are forced to travel for miles across scorching ground to dig for roots and tubers. Exhaustion becomes a silent enemy, wearing down their ability to resist with every step. The troop turns into open targets for stealthy leopards. Yet, in another sense, the clear sightlines through bare branches offer a survival advantage. They can spot the silhouette of a predator from a mile away. On this burning battlefield of survival, information is the most valuable biological insurance. In the open expanse, they act as sentries for every grazing species. One sharp alarm bark rings out, and the lion's dinner vanishes into a cloud of dust. Hunger begins to gnaw at the king's patience. In the rainy season, he could afford to ignore the 5-centimeter canines of aggressive adult males. But when an empty belly starts to protest, hesitation is cast aside. The king no longer has the calm to tolerate these crafty informants. At the shrinking water holes, dominant males are ready to wager their lives in a frenzied, fatal dance. There is no turning back. Every shift in the relationship between lion and baboon is governed by the vast river of protein flowing through the savanna. The antelope herds, the most numerous citizens of this land, are the resource that ultimately decides who endures and who fades away. If we see the savanna as a working empire, then the king's strength is not in sharp fangs, but in a special kind of currency: protein. Do not be fooled by the lion's regal presence. In reality, the rise or fall of a wild kingdom is decided by living, running gold bars called antelope. They are the budget that funds every predator's ambition. While a buffalo weighing nearly a ton can smash through pride with a single headlong charge, antelope like the impala or gazelle are a more manageable, everyday meal. They deliver essential energy at the lowest risk. The massive population density of this group ensures the king a steady income, even when other large animals choose to leave the territory. The wild has no room for clumsy apprentices. Here, antelope serve as hands-on teaching tools in the lion's school of survival. Smaller or weaker antelope are often used by the lioness to sharpen instinct in the next generation. Lower the center of gravity, choose the moment, deliver the finishing strike. Every lesson in the craft of killing is practiced on these targets. A harsh training program, but an effective one. Through these smaller hunts, the lion cubs gradually grow up. They learn that ruthlessness and coordination are what keep them at the top of the food chain, rather than relying on raw muscle alone. Beyond that, the migration of antelope is the compass that guides the fate of the pride. The king rules wherever there is meat. When millions of wildebeest begin their journey in search of grass rich in phosphorus and calcium, the lions are forced to become cartographers of existence. The rotes of grazing animals decide where a pride will set up camp and which territory it will defend. When antelope becomes scarce due to drought or disease, the social structure of the prides can collapse immediately. Conflict between lion groups erupts as they fight over the few remaining patches that still hold life. A bitter irony of nature. The supreme ruler is, in truth, led by the footsteps of its prey. However, not every steak on the savanna's table is prepared the same way. For a top predator, choosing prey is a refined energy optimization problem. Each kind of antelope, with its own size and speed, demands its own set of hunting rules. To understand the king's subtle hunting craft, we need to look closely at how the antelope world is divided into different weight classes. Welcome to the club of heavyweight fighters. This is no arena for the faint of heart or for solitary hunters. To confront this group, the lion must activate a full surround and subdue mode. It is a high-risk team operation. An adult buffalo can weigh up to 900 kilograms, carrying horns strong enough to pierce the hide of any intruder. The eland, the giant of the antelope family, bears the mass of a small truck, yet can leap with stunning height. And of course, there is the giraffe, the roaming tower of the savanna. These hunts reveal the royal army's tactics and boldness in their rawest form. The African buffalo is often called the Black Reaper. It carries a fiery temperament and an unshakable sense of unity. One direct charge can shatter a lion's ribs in an instant. The key to success here is the presence of male lions. They provide the muscle needed to break the resistance of this massive dark beast. The strategy is to wear it down. The hunters clamp onto the flanks and legs, using gravity to turn the prey into a trapped anchor. A struggle can stretch on for hours, as the predator's endurance tries to outlast the prey's iron will to survive. One small misstep in positioning can turn the hunter into the one crushed beneath heavy hooves. Facing an eland means confronting a towering wall of flesh. Its weapons are sheer weight and spear-sharp horns ready to drive through an opponent's belly. The only reliable key is to shut down the airway, because the hide of these giants is too thick for a typical bite to end the fight. The hunters must focus on suffocation. A firm grip on the nose or throat becomes the decisive move. With the giraffe, the risk rises even higher. A backward kick from those long legs can crush a lion's skull in a split second. Lions in this region have developed a special technique, destabilization. Once the tower falls, its kingdom falls with it. Bringing down a giant can feed an entire pride for many days, but the price is often steep. A deep wound or a broken jaw can mean a final sentence in the wild. The king is a pragmatist. He knows he cannot wager the future of the kingdom on such bloody contests too often. These lavish feasts are reserved for moments when hunger has crossed the breaking point. More often, the steady and lower-risk budget for the pride's prosperity lies with another group. They are the ghosts of speed and the most numerous citizens of the grasslands, the medium-sized antelope. This is the class of medium-sized antelope and hoofed animals, the most frequent business partners of top-tier hunters. A game of endurance, speed, and kicks that can end a kingdom. First, the wildebeest. Nature seems to have assembled them from leftover spare parts: the head of a cow, the mane of a horse, and the legs of an antelope. A design that looks outdated, yet stands among the greatest marathon athletes on Earth. Their strength lies in stubborn grit and sheer numbers. With more than 1.5 million individuals in the Great Migrations, they turn the plains into a massive river of meat. The wildebeest's weapon is not in its teeth, but in its stamina. They can run for hours without stopping, wearing down any follower. For the lion, the only key to bringing down this running machine is patience. Wait for one to fall out of rhythm, for a misstep in the choking dust, and turn chaos into opportunity. In contrast to the wildebeest's noise, the topi are proud nobles. They can sprint up to 70 kilometers per hour, fast enough to leave most threats behind. Their survival tactic is signature, turning themselves into living mile markers on top of termite mounds. This is not showing off, but a strict security protocol. From that height, they can spot the lion's golden shadows from hundreds of meters away. To take a topi, the lion must become a master of stealth, using every acacia trunk and even the most withered clump of grass to close the distance. One moment of distraction from the mound's sentry is all the king needs. Last is the zebra. Zebras do not just wear a fashionable outfit. Their black and white stripes act like a biological visual glitch, making it hard for a predator to tell where one individual begins and ends when the herd is moving. But the real weapon is behind them. A zebra's kick carries enough force to shatter the jaw of an adult male lion. That is a critical injury, often sealing a final outcome because eating becomes impossible. The key for the lioness queens to solve this problem is to break the herd's structure. Isolate one target, drive it into tricky terrain, and strike from the side to stay clear of the powerful hind legs. This is the pride's specialty. An organized hunt often mobilizes from 3 to 8 members. They run a pincer tactic with the precision of a special operations unit. Young lionesses, full of energy but short on experience, take the role of drivers. They reveal themselves on one side, creating psychological pressure that pushes the herd toward the chosen line. On the other side, veteran killers are already waiting at the pickup points, the choke points of the terrain. When the antelope herd charges into the trap in panic, the ambushes spring up like coiled steel, sealing off the escape route. The success rate of this coordinated style can reach 40%, supplying abundant food for the whole pride for days. However, this prosperity is seasonal. These hoofed machines are tireless migrants. When water runs out, they leave at the call of rains in another land, leaving lion prides to face the unsettling stillness of the dry season. The protein bank has closed. Now, the king is forced to shift tactics. When the mid-weight prey pull back, the focus turns to smaller antelope, faster, sharper, and full of tricks. A new phase begins, where group power gives way to elite solo hunting skills and the all-or-nothing boldness of those who stay behind. When the moving boulevards of meat leave, the king's menu becomes leaner and far harder to handle. Welcome to the savanna's retail tier. This is the realm of small antelope, athletes equipped with the most sensitive radar system on the planet, impala and gazelle. Impala, a flawless early warning system. They have scent glands on their hind legs to mark escape routes and ears that can catch the faintest sound. A full-grown impala can leap 3 meters high and as far as 10 meters, making ordinary pounce and chase efforts look ridiculous. Meanwhile, gazelles are masters of visual deception. Their stotting leaps are a sarcastic message aimed at the hunter. Their bodies are streamlined to the extreme for explosive speed, turning them into tawny brown flashes across the ground. For a lion, mobilizing the whole pride to hunt a gazelle is a waste of manpower. Too many bodies only get in the way and make it easier to give away position to those razor-alert eyes. 1 or 2 hunters is the maximum. The tactic here is extreme patience. The lion must close the distance into the red zone, under 15 meters, because lions are not built for endurance running. They carry a very high proportion of fast twitch muscle fibers, allowing a frightening burst of speed, but only for a few brief seconds. If the game cannot be finished within the first 30 meters, the antelope wins with superior lung capacity. Success rates in this tier sit at only about 20 to 25%. The prey is too agile. They can cut mid-air, leaving the hunter grasping at dust. The good news is that injury risk here is almost zero. No jaw-shattering kicks, no horn-driven wounds. This is the perfect training ground for young lions or solitary females eager to showcase individual skill. Every clean takedown is a certificate of maturity, turning them from pack-dependent eaters into true independent hunters before the harsh dry season tightens its grip. But the struggle for protein on the savanna is not the exclusive privilege of the cat family. The moment the professional predators take a pause, another group of killers begins to reveal itself from the treetops. Adult male baboons, especially the chacma and the olive baboon. The world often sees them as gentle plant eaters, a fatal misunderstanding. They are ambitious omnivores. When the body demands dense protein and fat, these noisy neighbors are ready to become a nightmare for hoofed species. This time of year is a true paradise. The antelope breeding season brings an explosion of newborns. Freshly born young are perfect targets. They are fragile, not yet fast enough to break away, and their only weapon is concealment. But against the intelligence of a baboon, tall grass becomes useless. This is when the true nature of this primate rises to the surface. They do not need energy-draining chases that stretch for kilometers. They need observation and hands strong enough to seize the moment. Baboons do not possess the refined killer instinct of a lion. There is no suffocating precision strike. They rely on brute force, a raw, primal harshness. Why would a primate choose this path? The answer lies in fierce competition. When plant resources grow scarce, meat becomes the only lifeline for survival. But there is another reason, deeply social in nature. Capturing an antelope is a way for a male to assert rank within the troop's Machiavellian hierarchy. It is a display of power designed to attract females. Here lies a striking contrast. In front of the Lion King, they are subdued figures, quietly stepping aside to preserve their lives. But before a vulnerable impala, they suddenly transform into the harshest bullies on the field. This brutality is only part of the story. Behind the crude pounces lies a trade-off far beyond imagination, a cunning dark side carefully concealed beneath the mask of the hunted. What you are about to see will completely redefine the meaning of honesty in the natural world. In Tanzania's Mwagusi region, the usual rules of biology have been torn away. Here, baboon and lion have established something called a covenant of darkness. This is a betrayal. These primates have chosen to trade away their early warning system. A system performed so routinely, it became their responsibility to the entire ecosystem for a chance to survive. They have learned to stay silent in the presence of the reaper. A quiet rule has been upheld for generations. The king will not go after them as long as the servants maintain absolute silence. Normally, a baboon would scream at the sight of a big cat's shadow to help save other species like kudu or eland. But in this gorge, silence becomes a kind of currency. The troop sits and watches the hunt unfold with intense focus, almost like the curiosity of accomplices. The intelligence of these primates allows them to hold back primal fear, to watch another life get taken without offering a single warning. They are watching the end so they can secure their own survival. Behind that silence is a cold, logical calculation. Baboons understand a simple biological rule: a well-fed lion is a harmless lion. Helping a lifelong rival successfully bring down a well-fed antelope is a way to invest in long-term security for the troop. They accept a double life, making friends with the devil in exchange for truly peaceful hours. This relationship is called the lion and the glade by scientists, an astonishing break from natural roles where cunning has beaten instinct and honesty is tossed aside so survival can come out on top. Life at Mwagusi teaches us an expensive lesson about trade-offs. On this unforgiving plane, nothing is free. To earn a quiet life right in the heart of the reaper, the baboon troop has paid with the honor of a gatekeeper. They have turned their superior intelligence into a tool of high-level deception. The balance here is not built on fairness, but on compromise between the two most calculating players of all. Yet the presence of both species does not only create fear or dark covenants. They also hold a key role in maintaining the structure of this entire kingdom. A baboon never stands still. Each day, they travel from 10 to 15 kilometers. This is not simply a stroll in search of food. These omnivores are the most devoted seed planters of the savanna. Fruits and seeds pass through their digestive system without being destroyed. Instead, they are wrapped in nutrient-rich waste and deposited in entirely new ground. Thanks to this tireless movement, mopane woodlands and acacia can spread and maintain their presence across vast areas. A quiet yet persistent cycle of renewal, powered by those often dismissed as troublemakers. Unlike relatives that prefer to cling to the treetops, baboons spend most of their lives on the ground. They possess strong hands and long canines that function like pickaxes. Their digging for tubers, roots, or insects is, in truth, a form of natural cultivation. The dry topsoil, compacted under relentless sunlight, is loosened and turned over. This disturbance allows precious rainwater to seep deeper into the earth instead of running off the surface. Baboons have remarkably sharp color vision and an ideal elevated vantage point. They are the most reliable radar system for the wider community. A distinct bark at the sight of a leopard or lion is a signal. Their meat-inclusive diet ranges from insects and reptiles to bird eggs. The presence of baboons helps keep insect populations that harm grasslands under tight control. They act as enforcers, preventing the ecosystem from tipping out of balance due to explosions of small animals. A cold but necessary regulation to maintain the structure of the Green Kingdom. In the end, the baboon itself is an important reserve of energy. Pursuing an intelligent and fierce primate demands top-tier hunting skills from the big cats. It is one of the toughest exams for maintaining sharp survival instincts among apex hunters. Even after its life has ended, its body becomes a valuable gift for cleaners like hyenas or vultures. One fallen baboon can help sustain dozens of other lives. If baboons are the cunning agricultural engineers, then lions are the supreme administrators of this kingdom. Their presence is not random cruelty, it is an essential control mechanism. Imagine a world without apex hunters. The numbers of grazers like wildebeest or zebra would explode exponentially. The result would be grasslands cropped down to the roots. Then the green savanna would quickly turn into a barren wasteland, where even the grazers themselves would have no chance to endure. Lions keep the ecological scale balanced by trimming away life's excess growth. To our eyes, the hunt can look harsh, but biologically, lions are nature's doctors. They do not hunt blindly. Their priority targets are always the weak, the old, or those carrying illness. Removing these weaker links helps prevent potential disease spread within hoofed communities. This is a severe but fair process of natural selection. Only the strongest, fastest genes are allowed to carry on, preserving lasting vitality across the ecosystem through millions of years of evolution. However, the king's true power lies in an ecological psychology concept: landscape of fear. The presence of lions reshapes the behavior map of the entire savanna. Grazers never dare to linger too long in high-risk areas like riverbanks or dense thickets, ideal terrain for an ambush. That fear becomes an unintended protective barrier for plants. Because grazers must keep moving to avoid the reaper, riverbank vegetation gets time to recover and grow. Trees rise, roots grip the soil, reducing erosion and creating homes for millions of birds and insects. Life sprouts from the fear of an ending. After the meal is finished, the king becomes an unwillingly generous provider. The remains of a carcass open a massive feast for the cleanup crew, from clever hyenas and sharp-eyed vultures to millions of tiny insects. All of them depend on the leftovers from lion hunts. More importantly, through killing prey, lions help spread essential nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus back into the soil in different locations. A near-perfect nutrient cycle that enriches the grasslands where all life begins. The most important role, and the key point in this showdown, is controlling mid-level predators. In ecology, this is the fight to prevent the mesopredator release effect. Lions keep the numbers of smaller, stubborn predators like baboons in balance. When lion populations decline or disappear, olive baboon numbers have surged like a plague. Without restraint from the ruler, they become overbearing, damaging agriculture and directly affecting human life. The king's presence is the key factor in taming the cunning of this intelligent primate. Without the lion's claws, baboon cunning turns into chaos that cannot be controlled. The confrontation between lion and baboon has never been merely slaughter or a string of meaningless chases. It is an unwritten covenant etched across the grasslands of the Serengeti. One side represents absolute authority, raw strength capable of bending every rule. The other embodies intelligence, cunning, and astonishing adaptability. Without the king's claws, the baboon troop would become chaotic tyrants, unraveling the balance of the ecosystem. And without the vigilance and alarm barks of the monkeys, the savanna would lose its sharpest radar system, pushing every species into the shadows of surprise. Nature does not take sides, it chooses balance. As the sun sinks beyond the horizon, this power game continues in the dark, where every footstep, every breath, and every call is a move on the grand chessboard of survival. A kingdom built not on peace, but on a deep understanding of mortality. Cunning and authority remain forever two sides of the same destined coin on the land of hunters. We have just journeyed through the rawest cross-sections of a calculated power struggle between brute strength and cunning intelligence on the savanna. Which animal in today's episode made you rethink the wild world? Was it the dark covenant of the baboon troops at Magusi, or the iron discipline of the Lion King's army? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Your understanding is the greatest tribute to these wild creatures. Do not forget to hit like and subscribe to join me on the next field expeditions, where we will continue to decode the most mysterious survival codes. And if you want to explore more about other wild species, continue with hyena versus lion, clash of predators in the savanna, or wild dogs versus lion, when unity survives overwhelming power.